Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hello and a very warm welcome to the Aram training channel. Welcome back. Today's video is a very important one and it affects all rowers. It's how to get rid of a rounded low back. I was contacted by Kainan. He was 7th seat of the 2024 St. Paul's 8. Gorgeous boat, beautiful technique, a great 8 to watch. And in my video analysis back then, I said a rounded low back like this is likely to cause injuries. And he wrote me a message afterwards and said, well, it did. And now he wonders what he can do to get rid of a rounded low back. It's a beautiful contrast, that white rowing suit against the black Empacher boat and the green water. Same with 6th seat, actually. Look at that here. This kind of low back does create an issue. Again, I'm referencing the famous Swiss lightweight men's 4. They're also in a catch position, and their backs look definitely more stable. It's not perfect because I think they're almost overreaching, but for them it worked out. But if you're a masters rower, you have to think differently than these high performance rowers. They're training to be fast at the Olympics, and the St. Paul's 8 is training to be fast at Henley or other big events. But if you are a beginner rower or a masters rower, you're training for longevity. That's a different mindset. And the way I coach the athletes that I'm trying to prepare for World Championships or Olympic Games, I always focus on longevity as well. I don't make much difference in my coaching between masters or professional athletes. Principles are principles. And one of the principles is that your low back must be in a stable position. There's a YouTube channel called 3D Anatomy Lyon. Wonderful channel. Let's look at this animation here. So you see the pelvis and you see the spine with the discs. And the discs are exactly what's causing the issues because they're nerves and around the disc. And if these discs prolapse, then you have pressure on the nerves. And this can lead to the point where you simply have either pain and or issues to move your legs properly if it's a very advanced state. Now, we're not talking about an unloaded bend. We're talking about a loaded bend. So a bend where you have massive shock on the discs as well. And you see it's like the discs are being squeezed out. Here in this example, it's the forward tilt that is extreme. This is not our problem. So here you see we have a tilt that is squeezing the discs. And that's just a minor tilt back, not a massive one as we saw in the picture before. If you look at the picture here, how do you think that disc is going to look? Not very good. And this is under load. So when you try to apply full pressure with your legs and hold on to a very steady resistance with your arms. And that is the reason why people with a rounded low back have a tendency to have low back injuries. This is exactly what's causing it. So the question is, why is this even happening? Well, first, it's a technique issue. As an athlete, you need to understand how to sit so that you can engage your deep muscles as much as possible. The problem is when people go into the catch, they try to have a straight back overall. And usually they stiffen up the shoulders and bring the chest out, and that creates a lack of mobility. And then of course the low back is somewhat stable, but how do you want to suspend and be hanging in there? So you need to create a bit of looseness, just a tiny bit. And you do this by not trying to have your entire torso stiff, but by trying to pretend that you could lengthen that part here, make it longer, vertically up, angled forward. So it's like tilting off the seat. You don't tilt forward, you tilt off the seat, and I try to be taller. For me, it feels a bit like ski jumping, being mid-air. And the idea is that instead of bracing the superficial muscles, all you need to do is try to be tall. Because with this, you trigger the transverse abdominis, and that allows you to be absolutely braced for what's to come. And then you can use the superficial muscles to transfer energy into the finish. So instead of being round and stiff, round in the low back and stiff in the shoulders, what many people are, I want you to be loose in the top of the shoulders and elbows and wrists and feel how you can load the oars with the body weight, and then reduce body weight and make sure you're tall off here. This should only go up to the sternum, not more than that. Light hands, weight on the seat, but trying to be tall. I do push my low back in a tiny bit forward, but not much. Most of it is actually being tall. A metaphor that I use for myself personally You see the belt here? It's blue, so you probably don't. I try to angle the belt, which is almost impossible to do. But I try to make my belt long and angle forward. And if you try this at the catch, this is the fastest way to have a stable low torso without being too stiff. The stability in rowing, contrary to what most people think, is not so much the result of very good superficial muscles, it's the result of well-coordinated and strong deep muscles. And these need to be triggered correctly. So if you just focus on your back, you will never have a stable core, or never have a core that is sustainably stable enough throughout an entire race. Now you may say that some of the fastest rowers in the world row with a rounded low back and they're fine. Well, be careful with your judgment. They are fast, the question is how long? And how healthy are they when they're done? When you're young, your body can take quite a bit of beating. And the point is, it's not talent to be able to cope with a bad body position longer than others and postpone or delay or offset the injury as long as possible. It is talent to sit properly and to put in the effort and the work and to try to understand how to position your body so that you can row until you are 95 years or 100 years old. Because that is the real goal with rowing. Second, you need to prepare your body to be able to do this. Now, there are 3 reasons why you can't do this as of now. Reason number 1 is that there is an imbalance in strength. If you look at the body and look at the hip or the pelvis, let's look at that white line right here of the Aram training rowing suit. By the way, you can get this online if you're interested. We need a balance of strength between the front of the body and the back of the body. And we need a balance of strength above of the muscles above the waist and below the waist. So front and back, above and below. So these 4 sides need to be balanced out, crisscross, up and down, and forward and backward. And if there is an imbalance in strength or mobility or flexibility, a rounded low back is one of the results you're getting. You can do the usual stuff like stretching your glutes, stretching your hamstrings, stretching your hip flexors. These are good things to do. But what actually makes us stronger is full range of motion strength. So one of the exercises that I like to do are good mornings. So a standing good morning works like this. You take a broomstick. I intentionally didn't use a barbell here. Typically you would do it with a barbell. But let's say you start up with nothing because you don't have the strength. And you do it like that. You really try to be long, so you make your entire torso very long up to the sternum. And have your knees slightly bent, tilt your pelvis forward. For that, you want to go into a hollow back position. And then try to arch your back forward almost parallel to the floor. The better you are, the more you can keep your knees locked out. And do the same thing. Eventually, you will be good enough that you can almost go past parallel. Now, the way I learned this is I started to bend my knees and I went to the degree where I felt, okay, I become round. Typically, I would use a mirror, look myself into the mirror and say, okay, is that good? No, I'm becoming round. All right, then I went down to the point where I could still hold it without being round, hold it for a couple seconds, go back up, down. How far can I take it before I become round? Hold it, okay, go back up. And eventually you will be parallel with the floor. The next issue is a lack of deep muscle strength. What actually holds the body stable and in position are a range of deep muscles you cannot really see from the outside. And that is actually one of the reasons why when you start to row, it takes quite a while before these have been built up and you generate decent watts without getting injured. That's one of the most difficult parts for me as a coach, to tell beginners, hey, motivation at the beginning is awesome, but you need to give the body time plus the right training triggers to build the deep muscle structure you need for rowing. There's a range of exercises I like to do personally from our own training and that I tell my athletes to do that are right on their training programs. By the way, if you're interested to join the team, I write training programs for masters rowers, for professional rowers, for junior rowers. always with longevity and health in mind, but also with performance. I want to make sure that you are in performance state, but always having longevity in mind. So you're highly competitive, you're fast, you want to win, you want to make medals, but you want to be healthy in the long run as well. That's my mindset. This is why I became a coach, and this is why I started the Biorower project. This is one of my favorite exercises to strengthen the deep muscles of my core. The core is designed to withstand twists. So the twist itself triggers the largest possible amount of deep core muscles you can possibly trigger with one motion. And this is, therefore, for me, a game changer. Since I started doing this, my torso has become significantly more stable than it was before. Here's an exercise I use as a warm-up. It's ball throws. I made a short about this. I use a 6 kilo medicine ball. You might want to start with almost no weight at all, or maybe you have to use more to make it count. And the idea is that I have to throw the ball upwards, not forward. So it's not really a sit-up, it's more an exercise where I have to hold a posture to be able to have a different motion larger than the sit-up itself. And then this is followed up by side throws. This is pretty taxing on the body. And the idea is that here I need to catch it, so that's eccentric, then I need to hold it and overcome the resistance. That's isometric for a short moment of time, and now it's concentric again, and it's explosive. So this is pretty much what we do in rowing to a large degree. Now the point here is that you have to start very slowly, and you have to take your time to warm up here. This is one of my favorites, and I do it quite frequently. Instead of doing regular push-ups, I like to do push-ups on rings and on a gymnastic ball. This forces me to engage the entirety of my core. You see, I'm trying to create an arch and trying to be as planted into the motion as possible here. This is not so much about triceps, this is about the core. And usually as an add-on, I would then do a couple push-ups with a bit of a lift off to make sure I'm really done. And this helps me to make sure my core is absolutely engaged, because that lift off does require much more core than arm muscles. There are many more exercises. For example, I like to do this as a warm-up for an exercise I'm going to show you later. It's essentially a one-arm barbell snatch where I don't pause in between. I try to go up in one motion. Of course, your back has to be absolutely rock solid stable to do this. And this is the exercise that I find absolutely a killer. It's really hard. I think in powerlifting it's called Hercules row. I call it one-arm dumbbell row. The point is that your back has to be dead stable, and then you will be surprised how much weight you can pull here. So this is 50 kilos for me. For you, it might be 10 kilos or 20 or 100. It's about feeling it in the core. So where I feel it the most is, ironically, when I pull with the left, I feel my right obliques screaming at me. It's the perfect exercise for the finish, because here you really come from suspended lats, and you have to do the entire motion from the dynamics of the upper body, and then the arm pull is actually a lat pull. This is pretty much what the rowing motion is like. Now, to all the Biorower owners, what you can do if you have issues with a round low back is set the Biorower to be unstable. The instability training on the Biorower is extremely, extremely important, because, see, when I have to compensate and hold in the boat, I would have the blades. That's another factor. Here, most people don't have the space, so we just have inboards. You can have full oars on a Biorower too, so you can play with your blade work and use the weight of the blades to balance out the boat as well. But with just the short inboards, which is what most people buy, then you have to be stable from within. That means you cannot be wobbly on the way forward and not control it. You have to be stable. And for me at least, when I'm stable into the catch, trying to do that, I can control that boat much better. And of course here at the finish, it's just being tall up to my sternum. Relax, tall up to the sternum, relax, tall up to the sternum again, ship, relax. This is the ideal stroke structure. As this is excellent deep muscle training. You don't need to have it unstable for the entirety of the session or every session, But why don't you set it unstable for every second session of 20 or 30 minutes? Or if you do an hour of rowing, set it to be unstable for, let's say, the middle 30 minutes. Try this out. Trigger your body. Force it to trigger the deep muscles. Because once you brace your deep muscles properly, then it's much easier for you to hold the boat stable as well. And that's something you can practice on the Biorower, because you have the original rowing motion and you need to hold the boat stable. It's priceless. Now, a last word on what you should stop doing immediately, and that's really important. If you have low back issues or a rounded low back, please avoid the linear ergometer as much as possible. You don't always have a choice. If you're part of a team and they require you to use it, but use it as little as possible. If you don't have a Biorower available or your club still doesn't have one, try to spend as much time on a bike or in the boat as possible. Now, why do I recommend not to use the linear drive rowing machine? Well, it's not a rowing machine, it's like a deadlift. I understand why people compare rowing to a deadlift, because this actually is like a massive overhang deadlift, but it's more like a Jefferson curl. And I'm not sure if your doctor would recommend to do a Jefferson curl for 30 or 60 minutes every day or every other day with a rounded low back. So with this being said, let me know what your experience is. Do you have issues with a rounded low back? And if so, how did you solve it? Or did you not solve it at all? Or did it force you to stop rowing, which is a pity because this is not necessary. With this being said, thank you very much for watching. I hope it was interesting for you. Definitely an issue that many people have. If you want to learn more about what I do, I coach people and I coach them online and offline. I write training programs. I have Zoom live classes. I coach people on the water through Zoom. If you're interested, contact me, info@aramtraining.com, and I'll show you how to set up your boat so I can be with you every stroke of your training. That's priceless coaching. I coach people through Saturday live classes, so Zoom group classes. And of course, here in Vienna in person, I hold camps. For the 2026 series, I will hold 12 camps again. Very small camps, no more than 6 people, very small groups, a lot of focused coaching. So if you want to join, go to aramtraining.com. This is the Biorower. It's the project I started because I did have back issues. That was my reason why I started this when I was 17, 18 years old. This is how far this project actually goes back. Thank you very much for watching and sharing and subscribing. And if you know somebody who has a rounded low back, forward the video and say, hey, have a look at this. Maybe it's food for thought. Thanks for watching, and I see you in the very next video. By the way, I will still keep these Learn to Row, so Become a Competitive Rower, Start from Nothing series coming. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when the next video is going to be uploaded. Until then, enjoy your rowing, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.